Hi, Carrie here. So I'm here to slay the patriarchy and fight for human rights, and hopefully we can have a little bit of fun while we do it. So first I want to start off with a little This Day in History segment. This day in history on July 2nd, 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson signed the historic Civil Rights Act in a nationally televised ceremony at the White House. Um, and that was as a direct result of Martin Luther King's political activism during his life, which is a beautiful thing. And I didn't know what a perfect day to start this. Okay, so I'm not going to get too deep into any particular topic today because I haven't really done my research. Admittedly, this is sort of spontaneous decision, but it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to learn some stuff, and we're going to be informed voters, and it's going to be beautiful, as well as our faces. So right now I'm just adding primer. Blend out the pores a little bit. Provide a nice solid foundation for your foundation. Obviously, I'm new at this. Don't judge me. All right. So, lots of stuff's been going on lately that we are all aware of. I think in addition to global nuclear war and all of the other things that are going on globally, there's a lot just going on right here on our soil. So right now there are hundreds of kids being held in detention centers in Texas. It's worth mentioning, when Trump first got elected, detention centers like the one these children are being held at were sold to private owners. So these detention centers aren't even like taxpayer funded. They're privately owned, and I'm sure somehow, some way, somebody's making a profit off of it. Not totally sure how it all works, but it's some pretty scary stuff. And if you have been watching the news at all, it's all very heartbreaking. I hope I'm not the only one who feels like I'm starting to see something akin to Nazi Germany happening again on this planet. I remember when I was in high school thinking, oh my God, how could those people have let something so terrible happen right under their feet? Turns out, I got an answer to that question. So I'm just going to go ahead and smear my foundation around. I've been experimenting with this beauty blender thing. I decided that I hate it because it absorbs all of the makeup right off of your skin. And I'm just kind of like, what? So I've stuck to the brushes. I don't use anything fancy. I buy drugstore makeup. If you use fancy stuff, good for you. So yeah, Pride was a couple of days ago here in Santa Fe. I think it was a nationwide event, actually. And then strangely, the same day as Pride, we had ICE protests, which is great. Super glad people are demonstrating. I wish I could have made it, but it was a little bit last notice here in our area, so I didn't get to go be part of that. But I do care very much about what's going on our border right now. A friend of mine, not too long ago, shared an article on Facebook. I can go ahead and share it with you all. Message me if you'd like to read it. Shared a little article on Facebook talking about who exactly is being separated at the border. And it turns out that there's only I think in the particular detention center that this article or post or whatever talked about, only 3% of the kids that were being held in this detention center were from Mexico. Or maybe it was only 3, exactly 3 children in the vicinity of 200 or 300 other children. Only 3 of them were from Mexico. It turns out that a lot of the people that are being separated at the border are from places like Venezuela and Guatemala, which have been undergoing a lot of violence lately. And so when these people have been interviewed, they've said things like, yeah, I mean, I knew there was a risk coming to America, but it was better than dying. And I mean, I guess if I was in a situation where I had to choose between my child's life and being in my child's life, that's got to be a tough call to make. You know, it's really easy to talk about immigrants as if they're not human beings, but they are. You know, they're mothers, fathers, sons, daughters. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't just up and leave my country on foot with an infant unless I was seriously in trouble, you know. Imagine how far these people had to travel before they even got to the border. Those those poor families, man. So I don't know what to do about it. Writing congressman, of course, obviously. Write your congressman. But there's also this fun app that I used to use. I'm going to get back into it. It can be really, really stressful paying attention to all of the things that are going on in the world. We all have our own personal problems that we're dealing with. Life is freaking hard all over. But it's important to acknowledge our privilege and to try to help people who are less fortunate than us. It's the ideal that our country was founded on. You know, equality isn't given, it's won. And so we need to stand with these people who are trying to flee violence and who are being punished basically for trying to save their children's lives by having their children removed from them. It's like the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. And that's my country. You know, I was always a patriot growing up. I've always considered myself a patriot. When I was in high school, I actually was talking pretty seriously about running for office. And even recently, I've talked seriously about running for office. But I've decided I would probably die if I ran for office. So probably not a thing I'm going to be doing until my kid's like 18. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to work to spread information. I'm going to try to have fun spreading that information because, again, like I said, it can be very stressful. Self-care is so important when you're trying to take care of other people. You can't pour from an empty cup. But I also can't just turn a blind eye to what's going on either. So here we are. So I don't know, my contour is a little shady. We'll try to blend it out a little bit more. When I was watching some videos online about these recent ICE protests, I saw an actual officer who used to work for ICE stand up and speak. That was really inspiring. It's amazing to see people choosing to let something go in order to help somebody else out. You know, letting your job go or something like that. You know, those are big sacrifices, but they make a big statement. You know, if everybody just laid down arms, if every soldier laid down their arms, who would be left to fight? I'm not saying that some fights aren't worth fighting, but I think we can all agree that we're acting a little bit collectively, you know, as a country, we're acting a little bit crazy. This is definitely not what I thought that I would see happening in my country whenever I was a child. In fact, going back to this day in history, when I was in elementary school and they first started teaching us about the civil rights movement, I recall being appalled, amazed, baffled, just completely taken aback whenever I started learning about the civil rights movement, when I learned that there was a time in our history where we considered an entire group of people to be less than human, to the point where we use them essentially as free labor. Oh my God, I was floored. I mean, of course, now I'm an adult and we all know that this is just part of America's history. Here's some highlighter going on the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, and the chin. Yeah. The 4th of July is coming up. I am hoping to post a video on the 4th. I'm gonna do more intensive videos that are a little bit more guided and a little less just me like sort of chatting at y'all. And I'm gonna have like bullet points and particular topics that I want to focus on each week. And the goal is just to spread information. I want people to be more aware of what happened in our history on this or that given day. And I want them to be aware of what's happening in current events on this or that given day. Knowledge is power. And if we stay informed and we stay positive and we stick together, this is not the end of anything. This is not the way America will go out. You know, us millennials, we have a lot of power, and not all of us are willing to acknowledge that. We actually outnumber the baby boomers 2-1. And on the topic of baby boomers, they tried really hard. And in the United States, I think a good majority of people that fit in the baby boomer generation tried really hard to fight to end Vietnam, because those young people understood, even before the war was over, that we weren't there for just reasons. And we can look back at the hippie movement and historically understand that they were disenfranchised. When you look at, I think it's the, correct me if I'm wrong, please, Kennedy Institute, something like that. I want to say that the college was called Kennedy something or other. And they like tear gas students, and we've all seen the videos. We've all seen the videos, and the recent videos are even more atrocious than the ones that we saw from the 1960s, because now it's like Native Americans fighting for their own land and stuff. It's just appalling. It's appalling. And I'd like to blame Trump for everything, but the simple fact of the matter is he's only one human being. And he didn't get elected by himself. He's supported by an entire party of people who think just like he does. It's not just Trump. And I'm not trying to like divide party politics. In fact, this is the perfect point to talk about my true feelings about party politics. But first, I'm going to put on my lipstick. This is Kitten Heels from NYX. I'm not going to spend a lot of time advertising products because A, I'm not here to promote any corporations, and B, they don't need any advertisement from me, and C, I use drugstore makeup. If you want to know what I buy, drugstore. That's what I buy. Whatever is affordable, whatever looks good. But mostly, honestly, actually not so much anymore. My friend Jasmine brought to my attention the issue of animal cruelty in the makeup industry. Apparently, especially like big companies like Lancome and all of those like really fancy places, they tend to test on animals. Before a girl ever tries out any of their cosmetics, they put it on some poor little monkey or something, and wow, no. So I can't afford really high-end makeup. I know some people who sell like paraben-free stuff and all of that, and I'd be happy to connect you with her if you like. Hi, Reagan. And you can hook up with her for some really high quality, cruelty-free, paraben-free, good kind of makeup. But if you're kind of like me and you can't afford the higher end stuff, I like to go with Wet n Wild and NYX and NYX. Some people call it NYX. I always called it NYX, but yeah, like I don't know. Anyway, they're really cheap. NYX is a little bit more expensive than Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild has come a long way over the years. When I first started using Wet n Wild, their products were just terrible. But I can honestly say since I've come back to them, after about 5 years or whatever, they've come such a long way. Their makeup is better quality now, and it's still just affordable as it always was, and cruelty-free. So always trying to do our best for the planet, for our fellow humans, and for our animal compatriots. Yeah, so Countable, I mentioned that earlier and sort of trailed off on another thing. Countable is a great app. It'll keep you up to date on current events and you won't have to read a boring newspaper. You can select the issues that are important to you and get notifications specifically on those issues. And then you also get to talk to like voters all the way across the country from all different walks of life. But my absolute favorite part about Countable is the fact that you're able to contact your senators and congressmen directly through the app. So here in New Mexico, in case anybody's watching from elsewhere, here in New Mexico, our main I think senator, we've only got 2 because our population is so small, is Tom Udall. Maybe we only have 1. Tom Udall has always been very responsive to me. He's a Democrat, but he is a career politician, which means that, you know, I have a little bit of natural distrust for him, simply because he has made a career out of winning votes. And so it's important to question those kind of people. You know, especially like incumbents. Like if you're going to an election and you've got one candidate, never heard their name before, never seen them do anything, maybe their resume says they used to be a janitor or something. It's like a proven fact that voters will vote for the incumbent because of quote unquote experience. We've really seen nationwide young people like me just like rocking that preconception about experience or whatever. You no longer need to have a Harvard Law degree to find constituents that will vote for you. And so in many ways, like if you want to run for office before my daughter turns 18, I highly encourage you to, because we need more women in positions of power. You know, men wouldn't have gotten this far with destroying the planet if they had been listening to their wives, in my humble opinion. Women are always going to be concerned about the greater good, and I'm not trying to play too much on the gender card. I know not everybody identifies this way. So maybe talking about it would be like, you know, an energetic kind of thing, you know, like a masculine type of person walks into a room and commands all the attention and tells everybody what to do, whereas a feminine kind of person maybe walks into a room and sees who needs help, sees where he or she can be most useful, who needs help in this situation, you know, where can I put my attention where tension is not already being given. That's the kind of thing that a feminine type of person might think. How can I augment what's already going on or whatever. Whereas the masculine current is a lot more direct, and you know, so like in the same conversation, so I don't sound like I'm being insensitive or non-inclusive, I will say that I've always felt much more masculine than feminine. Like I'm obviously a girly girl. I'm here doing a makeup tutorial, But I've always felt very masculine, especially in situations that required me to like step up and or step in rather to a situation that maybe was not going very well. Give me 2 seconds to put on my eyeliner. The biggest thing I want to inspire in people is the notion that you don't need to quit your job and go run for office in order to make a difference. Don't judge me. All right. Eyes lined. You'll probably notice that I don't really use lip liner. I think it's a waste of money, so here I go, another millennial killing another industry, right? Because we all love that joke. We do. We love it. Especially when it's about stupid shit like dryer sheets and kids are getting incarcerated for trying to escape violence. You know, let's worry about what industry is failing because the millennials have no money next. So yeah, I'm just really ranty in this video. I don't really have a particular topic that I'm covering, but I'm sort of kind of trying to touch all of the bases. Of course, right now for me, the issue that feels closest to my heart is the situation with the kids because they're defenseless. There's so much going on in the world that I care about, but right now, for me, that feels like a priority. Like, we need to make that end. I realized Trump recently signed some sort of an executive order or something saying, oh, I'm not going to separate families anymore. But as I sort of kind of expected, he's still incarcerating them. So now there are still children who are separated from their parents, and anybody else that's getting incarcerated from this point forward is being incarcerated with mom, dad, and everybody. Which isn't great either. Like, why are they getting incarcerated? They're coming to our country seeking asylum. They're coming to our country asking for help. What happened to the quote on the bottom of Statue of Liberty that says, bring me your poor, your wretched, your da-da-da-da-da. Somebody post the quote for me, please. I'll find it. I'll post it in the comments. All right, so here goes the mascara. My makeup routine is very simple, but that's good because it doesn't take a lot of time and that leaves me more time for chatting, which is what these videos are actually about. I don't love this new mascara I'm trying by Wet n Wild right now. I really like the Instant Cat Eye one a lot better, but when I went to Ulta, they didn't have it for some reason. So I got this weird one, and I'm not crazy about it. It's shaped weird, like look at that. It's like got this stupid ball in the end, and like maybe that's for details, but it mostly just gets in the way for me. First world problems. So yeah. Countable. Let's get back to that. Go to the App Store, but get the Countable app. It's totally free to download. It takes like 10 minutes. You can connect with Facebook and share articles to your friends on Facebook, which is another thing that I really loved about it when I was using it regularly. It's a great place for information, perspective. Countable isn't invested in creating political whatever. One of my favorite things about them is that they just present bills that are passing through Congress exactly as they are being presented to Congress. There's not a lot of bias going on like there tends to be with like CNN and stuff. It's really just more like solid information. Oh my god, this is atrocious. I hate this. I hate this mascara. It's just not okay. I don't do falsies because I'm lazy mostly. Also, every time I've ever tried to put on falsies for Halloween, I've always like glued my eyeballs shut. Not my eyeball, because your eyeballs don't shut, but you know what I mean. Glued my eyes shut. Jesus, this is a mess. Somebody help me. Okay, well, aside from the fact that my eyelashes are completely messed up, I think this has been a fairly successful video. Some people drink Pepsi, some people drink Coke. The wacky morning DJ says democracy's a joke. Alrighty. On that note, democracy is not a joke. The only thing that makes democracy is a joke is refusing to participate in your democracy. So, to be fair, I don't really care what side of the fence you think you're on. I don't care if you're a conservative or a Democrat or a liberal or a Republican or whatever, an independent. What's happening in our country is morally reprehensible. And we need to come together and put aside our petty squabbles that we've been fighting about for like 10 years and do something about this before it turns into like an actual genocide. I will share another post. So I'm gonna later after I finish this video, I'm gonna add in the comments the quote that is on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. And I'm going to post on the Slay the Day page the different stages of genocide, and that post I saw from a friend of mine that discusses the demographics that are being affected by ICE's immigration policies. So my hair looks like really bad. I've been working all day, so it's nice and sweaty. Delicious. But that's pretty much my video. It's been almost 30 minutes. Hopefully they won't be so long. I know we are all very busy people and we have crazy busy lives that we're all trying to live. So I'll try to get my videos down to more like 15 minutes or so, but it may be pretty close to 30 on an average. I'd say whenever I'm really taking my time on my makeup, as in like, you know, my eyelashes don't look like shit, I could probably spend a good solid 30 minutes. So this is my first video. I am so open to feedback, criticism, whatever. Please comment, like it, share it with all of your friends. The goal is to be public. I want to bring as many women who maybe aren't as involved in politics as I may feel compelled to be. I want to bring as many women into the conversation as we can, because I think at the end of the day, what's really happened here on this planet over the course of history is that men and women haven't learned how to work together. There's been great strides towards equality for men, and there have also been great strides in the feminist movement for equality for feminists. The most beautiful thing about being alive today in 2018 is that we're riding the fourth wave of feminism right now. And that fourth wave is so much, it encompasses so much more than just the issues that women face on a daily basis. Finally, women have found a language to include all minorities in their dialogue. So there's no more of this like, well, if feminism is just for white women, there's no more of this. Feminism is just for women. Feminism is for all of us. We're fighting for equality. But arguably, if for the last 1,000 years, feminism had had the same, females had the same voice in their government, their religious circles, and their families as males have always enjoyed, I don't think that the world would look the way it does today. I think what we need to do in response to where we are right now is come together, put aside our differences, and understand that all of us are just trying to be human. At the bottom of every single human soul is the deep spiritual need to be loved and accepted And I think when we aren't loved and accepted, when we feel that we're isolated from everybody else around us, that's when things start to go haywire. That's when you begin to become filled with hate. That's when you start to look for somebody to blame for your problems. And as we saw in Nazi Germany, blaming the Jewish people for Germany's economic problems was not only inhumane, it was obnoxious and ridiculous. It was not the Jews' fault that Germany was in trouble. It was the fact that their government wasn't centralized or whatever. I'm not going to get into a big thing about German history because I'm going to show how little I know about it. But I do know that all of that bred from a weak economy. And so right now, America's economy is struggling, and it's just really important to recognize that blaming Mexicans for our problems isn't going to work any better than it did for Germany. Anyways, that's about the end of my show. Oh my gosh, it's my first episode. This was so exciting. Thank you guys for joining me. Again, like, share, and don't forget, keep calm and carry on. It's a marathon, not a race. Love you guys. Stay safe.